Number 5, which sentence should be added after sentence 5 to introduce the main topic of the passage? So you might know these are a lot like follow, and support questions. They want to know what sentence follows. Essentially, you're adding it after. That's the same thing. And that's true. In many cases, we would treat them like follow questions. However, this one is a category in its own. We're essentially adding the new sentence after the last sentence in the existing intro. So remember, our intro began with a hook to grab the reader's attention, a scene setting and a problem statement, and then it claimed the Goddard-based tunnel was the solution. Well, at this point, we don't know even what the Goddard-based tunnel is. The last sentence is going to be the thesis claim. It's going to be the main idea, which means it must tell us what the topic is and essentially why we care about the topic. That, what did the author want to tell us that's interesting about that topic? Well, it's interesting because it solves a problem, but they haven't told us yet what the topic itself is. And the answer to this question should tell us what the Goddard-based tunnel is. Is it gummy bears? Is it kitty cats? We really don't know up to this point. So the correct answer here is actually going to be C. The Goddard-based tunnel is the world's longest and deepest railway tunnel, stretching 35.5 miles straight through the base of the Swiss Alps. They're telling us what it is and why it's relevant to solving the problem. Answer choices A, B, and D are not the main ideas of the passage, which is what you need to figure out to find that final sentence that should be added at the end of the intro. It should be the topic sentence or the thesis claim. A, the construction of the Goddard-based tunnel was approved by Swiss voters in '92 and was funded by tolls, fuels, taxes, government loans. No, nothing in the passage later talks about who approved it and how it was funded. That's irrelevant to this passage. From our reading, we know the main idea of the passage is the Goddard Tunnel solved the problem of taking a long time to transfer goods and people over or across the Alps between Italy and Switzerland. Let's look at B. Leaders from several European countries attended the opening ceremonies for the Goddard-based tunnel, a Swiss tunnel. No, that's, again, not relevant to the main idea of our passage, what leaders attended or didn't attend as far as opening ceremonies. D. The Goddard-based tunnel continues to help reduce the number of freight trains or freight trucks on the roadways in the Swiss Alps. Well, wait a second, that's not right. It's a little closer. It's actually telling us something of interest to the tunnel, but continues? That actually curiously sounds like a concluding sentence. We haven't established that it reduces the number of trucks or anything at this point. We're still in the intro. Now, you may have read the passage already, but don't be confused to include the facts beyond the first paragraph, because that's where we are in terms of answering this question. And by the way, it's too narrow because we know people and goods and other things other than freight trucks specifically cross through the Goddard-based tunnel. So this answer choice is too narrow to be correct as well. So A, B, and D are not correct. The correct answer is C. It indicates what the Goddard-based tunnel is. They told us it's the solution, and we need to understand what it is and perhaps something about why it's the solution, because it's the world's longest, deepest railway tunnel stretching 35.5 miles through the base of the Swiss Alps. Number 5, which sentence should be added after sentence 5 to introduce the main topic of the passage? So this is a typical question. It's a variation of the follow, sentence follow, and support type question, but it's very specific. Notice sentence 5 is the last sentence of the introductory paragraph. So this can almost be classified by itself. As we've seen in this intro, we had a hook grabbing the reader's attention, we had a problem statement, and then we had a claimed solution that the Goddard-based tunnel essentially solves the problem. What would the last sentence of that intro be? It would most likely be the thesis claim, which is very typically the last sentence in an intro paragraph. Santi, shut up! Santi! The last sentence of an intro is oftentimes the thesis claim. And that's essentially what this is going to be. So we're told the Goddard-based tunnel is the solution to the problem. The burdens were eased with the Goddard-based tunnel. Well, what is the Goddard-based tunnel? We would want to follow with the main idea, and that's two parts. What exactly is the topic, and what's interesting about the topic that the author wants to share with us as readers to let us know? Well, in this case, we just said the solution's the Goddard-based tunnel. We don't even know what it is. So, for all I know, it could be gummy bears or kitty cats. We need to know what that Goddard-based tunnel is. So the correct answer here looks to be the answer that tells us what that topic, what that solution is. And it appears it is the Goddard-based tunnel, the world's longest and deepest railway tunnel, stretching 35.5 miles straight through the base of the Swiss Alps. Now we know what the Goddard-based tunnel is. We understand what the solution is, and that will be the topic for the rest of this passage. Note A, B, and C are wrong for the following reasons. The construction of the Goddard-based tunnel was approved by Swiss voters in '92 and funded by tolls. We don't really care about that. Nothing in this passage will tell us about how it was funded or who it was approved by. So A is somewhat irrelevant to the main idea of the passage. Remember, this last sentence of the intro, when the question says ended with sentence 5, or should be added after sentence 5, the last paragraph of the intro, we should be looking for a main idea. A is not it. Leaders from several European countries attended the opening ceremonies for the Goddard-based tunnel. Again, that's not the main idea of the passage, that leaders attended an opening ceremony. The main idea of the passage from our reading is that the Goddard-based tunnel solved a problem of having to spend a great deal of time of goods and people not being able to transit quickly between northern Italy and the Swiss Alps and Switzerland across the Alps. D, the Goddard-based tunnel continues to help reduce the number of freight trucks on the roadways in the Swiss Alps. Continues? Why would we continue? That sounds curiously like something in the conclusion, right? After we've established that the Goddard-based tunnel actually does those things. Be careful, we're still in the intro here, so the passage does talk about that, but not at this point. We don't know that. So this is not the right answer. It is not the main idea of the passage. It is not a good thesis claim for the passage.